Today is the 105th anniversary of the armistice signed between Germany and the Entente, ending the First World War. So happy Armistice, Veterans, or Remembrance Day, and let's hope that one day the diplomats' dream of peace can actually come. The armistice eventually resulted in the Paris Peace Conference, which saw the creation of many new European states and the end of the German and Austrian empires. Many today look back and say the treaties of Versailles and Trianon were far too harsh, so I decided to get 50 people from my Discord, linked below in the description, assigned as diplomats for every nation involved, including all of the various independence movements, to see how we would have reshaped Europe. The rules were simple. Every nation was assigned a number that determined how much weight their votes counted for and how strong their army was. If a proposal was passed, it was final and could not be brought up again. If a nation refused to subside with the voted upon outcome, they could fight to change it. This video has taken over a month to edit, so please support me by leaving a like, commenting, and subscribing. If you're interested in doing something similar to this, I'm starting a medieval roleplay game that is a mix between Risk, Catan, CK3, and EU4. The game starts in 1166 on the brink of the Third Crusade. It hasn't started yet, and many nations are still open. If we get enough people to sign up, we will add the rest of Central Asia, India, and Mongolia, meaning Genghis Khan is playable. Click the link in my description or my pinned comment for more info, and everyone is welcome. So now, let's get into the opening proposal by France.
First of all, as you know, Germany owes us a lot of money for giving us such a bloody nose in the last war. So I say to alleviate these reparations, France is given something a bit more material, and that would be the Saarland. In conjunction with this, of course, I'd like to see a new South German state formed with Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria being ceded to Austria for the creation of a new South German state. One for Catholics and not for the Protestant Hohenzollern dynasty.
I think the Saarland demand is reasonable, I believe. I think Baden and Württemberg have been historically more closely tied to northern Germany than they have to Austria. So I would be more fine ceding Bavaria to Austria, possibly Württemberg, but not Baden.
I would like to take the Catholic regions of southern Germany, but depends on Germany, obviously, and also what the US and the UK say.
Yeah, perhaps it should be divided along religious lines, because the very north of, like, the south, the middle...
I was thinking the Main River was a good natural border.
I'm only okay with this if Germany replaces Wilhelm II with Wilhelm III, as he is far more reliable and actually sane. Karl I of Austria can stay in power, but he has to agree to give up the Slavic lands of the Empire.
I can work with that, if that's what I need to do to keep the Kaiserreich. Long may Wilhelm III reign.
I'm good with that if Germany and Austria agree to respect the independence movements.
Alright, so we're willing to cede the Catholic regions of South Germany to Austria for this new South German state.
The surprising British proposal was voted on and passed, which meant the Germans and Austrians both retained their monarchs. The various Slavic independence movements would also be sanctioned by the Habsburgs, and also Serbia agreed to Croatian independence. Germany and Austria did not have strict demilitarization measures in place either. Unbeknownst to anyone, the Austrians and Germans had already agreed to the transfer of southern lands, as it would allow Germany to claim they'd already lost a massive chunk of land, and make them retaining the rest of their empire far easier. Next up is the Benelux, who had grandiose ideas.
Okay, so the Benelux nations have a combined proposal. We believe, due to the devastation particularly devastation that Belgium and Luxembourg went through during the war, we are entitled to some sort of remittance.
Come on, we already ceded Bavaria to Austria. There's no way I should lose even more land to the Benelux, especially in the Netherlands. They didn't even fight in this war.
I get what you're saying, but I think Germany has already been weakened enough. They don't need to be completely destroyed.
I completely agree here.
The Benelux proposals were only backed by themselves and France, and it was not passed. Following that was Dalmatia, fiercely contested between Italy and the newly independent Croatian state.
So Dalmatia obviously was an Austrian territory, but it's inhabited largely by Italians. It has a long history of being part of the Republic of Venice, an Italian state. So the proposal here is basically a compromise where Italy takes all the territories of Dalmatia, which were controlled by Venice, except for one city, which will be given to the Austrians.
The only region who has a big Italian minority is Zara, which we're...
Dalmatian is more similar to Romanian than it is Italian. Romania has a better claim to Dalmatia than you.
Guys,
no, that's ridiculous. That is the most ridiculous. I'm not. First of all, I'm not claiming all of Dalmatia. I'm only claiming the coast of Dalmatia, the parts that are actually Italian. And the coast of Dalmatia, by the way, is historically Italian. Like, there's no debate about this. You could look at any sort of census.
The only part with the Dalmatians are a considerable minority is Zara, which we are giving some minority in our Illyrian state. So we are setting up an independent kingdom in the region of Balkans, composed of 2 states of Slovenia and Croatia. We're gonna give autonomy to the regions of Dalmatia and also Zagreb if needed, because there are considerable mixed people there, such as...
It's not mixed, it's majority Italian.
No.
You can have a state, but it's going to be inland. It's going to be where there actually are Croatians and Slovenians. That's where Croatia... What did you call it, Illyria? You could have Illyria where there are actually people who identify as Illyrians, but the people on the coast, it's majority Italian. It's 70%, 80%, sometimes even 90%. You look at Trieste, that's an Italian city. It was founded by Italians. It's inhabited by the Italians. Like,
we don't recognize the Treaty of London. We believe that the Slavs in this area should remain with their ethnic brethren, and that means that they shouldn't be controlled by Italy.
Okay, I'm gonna just put down my full ideals, because clearly you two will never reach a compromise, because you can't decide where Italy begins.
Well, no, I'm the one bringing a compromise.
So, the city of Zara and the city of Trieste, these majority Italian cities, will go to Italy. However, all regions where it is more contestable, they will be Croatian lands.
Alright, Froggy, I'll take it from here. Croatia gets the Dalmatian islands that have almost no Italians. Trieste and Zara can go to Italy. We will vote on Fiume and the rest of Istria later. The northernmost islands with Italians living on them can be decided alongside Istria. And one more thing, as of right now, we don't recognise Illyria. Croatia and Slovenia are 2 separate people that can join depending how the Istria vote is decided.
Once again, the British had the final say as this was narrowly voted on to and passed. Meaning the Dalmatian coast went to Croatia, Zara and Trieste went to Italy, while the fate of Istria and a possible union between Slovenia and Croatia would be voted on in the future. Serbia's Balkan plans were up next.
So essentially, I want to unite with Montenegro and this partition of Bosnia that we have in chat here.
Where the Croatian majority in Herzegovina goes
we try to do it along ethnic lines. So the Croatian majorities in Herzegovina get to join Croatia, while we get all Montenegrin land. So we just get Montenegro.
What will become of the...
This makes the most sense, as you did a valiant job during the war, so this is a fair reward.
What will become of the Bosniak Muslims within Bosnia?
They will be given the same rights and privileges as Serbian Orthodox Christians.
You sure about that? You sure about that? That's why?
Okay.
They will not be discriminated against. That's not how we do. They are still Slavs, even though they are Muslim.
Backed by just about everyone, Serbia and Croatia divided Bosnia, and Serbia took Montenegro. While they had some other ideas for the Balkans, Greece set their sights on Thrace and Constantinople.
I want to partition, or we want to partition, Bulgaria.
Along what lines?
Wait. There is no Greek ethnic minority inside Bulgarian lands. Actually, there was no reason why the Serbians or the Greeks get Bulgarian majority ethnic lands. And you want to oppress the Bulgarian population in those lands and colonize them with Greek people and push Bulgaria into this small, unrecognized state in the Balkans. And split us up later. This is a proposal to split Bulgaria up in the future. That's what that map is equal to. And give a reason why you would get Constantinople too.
Yeah, so I
the
also
reason
wanted
why
Thrace and
you should get
Constantinople, because there's a lot of ethnic Greeks.
I am okay with ceding Thrace, but not our Black Sea coast because there was zero Greek minority in the Black Sea coast. In Burgas at all.
No, that's actually not true.
That is true. It is a majority Bulgarian. It's majority Bulgarian population.
If you look at the ethnic maps, and you can see the ethnic lines, so that's what it would look like.
And
there's a very small pocket.
Okay, yeah.
It's a very
And so what about the Bulgarian minority in Macedonia? What about that?
You lost the war.
And Vidin, or whatever it's called, Vidin, the Serbs proposing to annex it. It's a majority Bulgarian territory, from what I can see on the ethnic map. A lot of these Serbian claims are very dubious.
It's my territory. Yeah, so we can get like any data from that time, like the Ottoman census of 1914, and everything indicates that both Thrace and Constantinople are overwhelmingly Turkish lands. Same with all the Anatolian coast. So I think this is a no-brainer. Constantinople stays Turkish. We have already given the whole of our empire away, so it's pure imperialism.
Maps that posted, it seems to be a general consensus that at least half of Thrace, including Constantinople, is majority Turkish.
Yeah.
I think while the Greeks have some claims, this is going a bit too far.
I can agree to having a population exchange, but the provinces are clearly Turkish majority. I can link the census.
Yeah, population exchange in Thrace makes sense.
Absolutely not. The Turks are the most despicable player in the entire war. There are antics against the Armenians, Assyrians and Kurds, so I don't care if they have a slim majority in certain lands. They must be completely and totally punished for what they have done. We are back in the complete Mongolian idea and think a resurgent Greece is better for Europe. I mean, come on. Europeans have been trying to remove the Turks from Europe for 1,000 years. We can actually do it now, so we must take this chance.
Bulgaria ceded parts of Thrace to appease the Greeks. The British aid greatly helped the Greeks as the Turks found themselves with no allies. The Greco-British army easily took back Constantinople from the Ottomans and were poised to retake the rest of Anatolia. However, before we get into the rest of the war, let's head over to the Middle East to see all the various separatist movements that emerged out of the Ottoman Empire. Surprisingly, all of the various different religious and ethnic groups came together to form the Middle Eastern League, sponsored by the United States.
Okay, alright. Alright, Greece goes Greece.
Why are they winning?
Congratulations to imperialism. Now it's time for us to do the talking. First of all, I am now going to be sending the proposed borders for the Middle East.
And
this is a map that was made in accordance with all the members of the Middle East.
Yes, everyone in the Middle East has agreed to this.
All of the Middle East will be formed into the Middle Eastern League, which will be an American protectorate. All of the new Middle Eastern states have already agreed to this proposal.
Yep, we are all fine with this.
I see nothing wrong with this, personally speaking.
Yeah, we all agree with it.
There are no disputes here. We have solved the Middle East.
Everything is.
The Britain agreed to give us the Sinai.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. It's actually pretty fair. By the way, can we still get the Baghdad to Berlin railway?
I personally am against this, unless you agree to us taking control over Persia over India. If that's okay, then we have a deal. Also, America, you need to recognise Greece's claims in Anatolia. France, we will give you all a Cameroon too.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Luxembourg has a great question. Why is Jerusalem still in Muslim control? The answer is it's not.
It isn't. Jerusalem is.
So, Jerusalem is currently under joint administration between myself and Hejaz, and the agreement, which we'll get to later, would put it under international control among all of the members of the Middle East. So that's the state of Jerusalem right now. Israel's proposed capital is Tel Aviv. Luxembourg, we all know what your proposal would be. We
actually don't know why you will be involved in this.
For some context, during negotiations, Luxembourg attempted to get me to install a Catholic monarch on the throne of Israel.
It
The Middle Eastern League was formed as American protectorates, though the likelihood of it sticking together was almost non-existent, while the British were also given Persia as a dominion. As the war was ongoing, the Turks agreed to give treaty ports to 5 nations in a desperate attempt for aid.
I had agreed with 5 treaty ports, I guess, 6 trading ports with different great powers.
Despite agreeing to cede all these lands, the Greeks also agreed to honor them if the powers stayed neutral from the war, which they promptly did. Now, back to the Greco-Turkish War.
I want to take Western Anatolia. Pontus as well.
Greece just wants to become majority Turkish.
I just want more coastal. It doesn't matter like more interior. I just want the coastal because that's where a lot of Greeks are.
Come on, UK. You know it's unfair.
Come on, England.
I gotta have my land.
Come on, England. It's all on you.
People are gonna get killed.
No, it's not. The time has come. But as the Trojan founded our great civilization, so it's only right we repay the favour. We will fight this to the end with our Greek brothers.
I want to fight.
Bulgaria, can you support us as well?
The Turkish army was no match for the British, who almost single-handedly crushed them, ended any hope for a resurgent Turkey. Ataturk was humiliated and fled east. Celebrations occurred all throughout Greece following their dominating victory. The British ensured Alexander of Greece held actual power in the Greek government. In return, he gave them an important military and trade port in Gallipoli.
Let's go!
I am so
Nice,
sorry,
Oh.
Turkey. Big Kurdistan, though.
Following the demise of the Turks, the Greeks, Serbs, and Romanians turned their sights on Bulgaria.
Romania and Greece have no claim to my lands. There is, like I said before, there was no Romanian or Greek minority. Romania has Dobruja, which is partly Romanian, and Greece has Thrace, which is partially Greece. Anything after that is not even close to being a majority Greek or Romanian or Serbian at all. Greece is just being a greedy imperialist, tiny border regions that we can have an easy population exchange. Population in Thrace and the Greek population on the Black Sea coast.
If we're following ethnic lines, there's no one with a really good claim on Bulgaria.
I understand we don't have a major majority in the region, but after fighting 2 Balkan wars against the Bulgarians, I think it's best that we put them down.
I think we were treated unfairly in the Balkan Wars, and we had no choice between our thieving allies.
The Bulgarians were comprehensively defeated by the combined armies of the Greeks, Serbs, and Romanians, who took their desired lands, leaving Bulgaria landlocked. While Eastern Europe wasn't decided at the Paris Peace Conference, it was negotiated here. All the new, independent Eastern European states signed a joint agreement, the Kiev Accords, with the goals of punishing Russia once and for all.
All right, so the Belarusian government essentially is a part of deals with both Poland, Ukraine, Estonia, and Finland, and we have agreed on borders and deals.
You are going into my territory, which is mainly populated with Russian people. They're mostly populated by our people.
I just want to be clear, the Russian SFSR is invading Ukraine at the moment.
It's supporting the government of Kharkiv. In this map, you can read what it says. The last year of rogue Soviet Republic are essentially Russian-populated separatists who doesn't want to be a part of Ukraine. Same with Odessa Soviet Republic. They
very specifically, they are Soviet puppets, which, bullshit puppets, let me be clear.
Okay.
Ukraine isn't a German puppet state organized by the rest of the Soviet Union.
Proposed all Ukrainian
right now, that was previously true, but
at the first, when all Ukrainian Congress was made in somewhere in 1918, Ukraine banned the communism and socialism. They went to Kharkiv to create their own population. In the first election, Ukrainian Democratic Party didn't get even 50% of votes. It was mostly in the western regions that people are choosing for pro-Russian or communist regime. That's why they rebelled against the Kiev. They wanted independence from Kiev and not being associated with Ukraine. They were explicitly banned the pro-Russian parties and not letting them choose, only pro-Ukrainian parties. I don't think it's democratical. One of the first elections, I can read it in of 1918, said that pro-Russian government won. And the communists had at least 20 votes, with most of them going to the east. At the first place, these territories were taken by Ukraine by not ethnical, but by economical. Because Ukraine couldn't stand the chance that if they hadn't a Black Sea port like Odessa or others, they couldn't stand as a country.
Soviets, we'll recognise your government if you give us Sevastopol.
Okay, I accept.
This British ploy surprisingly worked, giving them another major port city for the Empire.
What I'm basically trying to say is that I have the actual Republic, the People's Republic of Ukraine exists, but I'm using a federative, communal, a communal federation to incorporate further territories at a mutual level so that it's not Ukraine rules over Russians. This is not an empire, this is a federation which supports everyone within these regions, especially considering the treatment of the Bolsheviks to the people in these regions and the way they are currently invading Ukraine. I want to be clear that if this treaty doesn't go through...
It's the revolution. It's the revolution of Russian people against the non-democratic government of Ukraine.
The Red Russians are not democratic. They are communist socialists led by the Bolsheviks.
I'm not, but Ukrainian doesn't too. So I just want to,
I am
the
very
territory that
specifically...
doesn't want to be a part of Ukraine to not be a part of Ukraine. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Which only created by Germany.
Yeah, so you're the...
Not by the people.
You're the puppet state of Germany who lost the war.
Then I
do not
give another
recognise the
vote.
white government. It's a hodgepodge of many different factions. It cannot table a proper delegation since they make up the Mensheviks, the Tsarists, and the old...
We have also the
dissolved
Nichols Army,
Duma.
Kolchak
To
Army.
clarify, who do you support to control Russia? The Russian SFSR?
The Belarusian government is not taking a stance on
Soviet
either the white
Federative
government or the
Socialist
red government.
Republic. Say it correctly if you want it.
Be legitimate though. The Russian territory is currently in conflict, so no territory is necessarily legitimate at this moment.
At this time not, but I want to say, the Germans create you.
It was created by the Germans, yes. However, immediately after it had full support by the
equally there is no
Belarusian
legitimate
government.
You have no legitimate claims yourself. It's a double-edged sword.
I have a proposal from the Armenians and the Kurds. So, Armenia wants to make a Georgia and Azerbaijan independent states to keep them protected from the Soviets.
As talks stalled, the Kiev Accords fought against the Soviets and defeated them in the ensuing war, forcing them to agree to their terms in return for recognition of them as a legitimate Russian government. All of their demands were met, and most importantly, Lithuania joined Poland in a union. However, the British refused to return Sevastopol to Ukraine. Poland sent almost their entire army to defend the east and began taunting Germany and Russia for what was coming.
Despite the heavy losses we have taken, liberating our brothers has been worth it. Germany and Austria, you're next. You better be prepared for the might of Poland.
Poland, strongly backed by France, had some interesting demands for Prussia, Silesia, Galicia, and their western border with Germany and Austria, looking to once and for all destroy any Germanic threat.
We are already part of the Kiev Accords and have just proven our might by defeating the communists in the East, so now we humbly ask for some small concessions from the Germans. Lithuania and us have agreed to unite together to rebuild our new nations together to become a strong ally in Central Europe. We are looking for some powerful friends. If you look at the earliest maps of Poland, as far back as the 10th century, we control all lands east of the Odra River, so they are rightfully ours. The Teutons are not native to Prussia. They sold that land before eventually backstabbing us when we were nothing but kind to them for centuries. The Silesian lands have thousands of Poles who want to join us, not be part of a German state that has been stamping our culture and hates us. We must rebuild and become a great power as we once were.
No, just no.
Poland. This is bonkers. I get that Germany hasn't been the best neighbour the past 1,000 years, but this spells the end of any German state, as they would likely try to join Austria. We already allowed the Kaiser to retain his crown as we want stability in Europe. We cannot take his historic Prussian crowns and former capital in Königsberg. You have no right to Danzig, and that is just too much.
I love Poland too, but there's no way it needs to be that strong. It's just completely unrealistic.
Are you for real? Why won't anyone support this?
I understand that you hold me responsible for the war, but this is simply outrageous. I have already agreed to the transfer of our southern lands to the Austrians. How much more must you tear away at Germany till you have appeased the French? Even now, they wish to steal away many Germans from their home nation and give them to the Polish nation, and many of whom have many good industrial jobs in their heartland. And for what? So that we might trade a Russian bear for a Polish one? We have all already agreed to let Poland and Lithuania rejoin once more into a commonwealth. What need do they have of Danzig? It is a German city, part of a German nation, with German industry. So I must ask, do you all simply side with the feverish anger of the French, or the more level-headed thoughtfulness of the British?
We need Danzig for Polish access to the sea, and Königsberg was once Polish, so it will be again.
I'm not really a fan of this. You need to figure out something else.
No, we are not doing any of this as a separate proposal. We are not negotiating with the losers. It's the Odra or we fight.
Germany will destroy you if you don't renegotiate, and we don't back this.
I'm not negotiating with Germany.
Poland refused to negotiate with Germany and kicked off the Silesian uprisings. Unfortunately for them, Germany was not as demilitarized, and Poland had already lost a lot of their army in the east. Also, the Austrians had secretly negotiated a peace between Germany and Belarus to backstab the Poles. In return for fighting against Poland, Belarus would receive the remaining Belarusian lands that were part of Poland and all of Lithuania, giving them access to the sea. Once the war kicked off, none of the Kiev Accords members sided with Poland and instead stayed neutral, while the Belarusians attacked them from the east, quickly overrunning Lithuania. The Germans easily put down the Silesian rebels and began marching into Poland. At this point, the Poles sued for peace and Germany agreed. Poland received no land from Germany, but Austria had to cede Krakow and some minor borders to the Poles. Following the German victory over Poland, the Lusatian delegation asked for independence from Germany and the Czechs.
It would be, as mentioned previously, it would be taking a bit of the Silesian land that was worked out between Czechoslovakia. We want to be a Germanic Slavic union. So we want to prove that Slavs and Germans can work together, and because considering our history being suppressed, then apparently we would like our independence, please.
This new nation proposed in the middle of Europe will be a disaster. Not only are you tearing more Germans away from their mother nation, you are creating a nation with no history, no support, as all of you can agree this is a terrible, terrible idea for the future of Europe.
No, the Czechs are against it.
Unfortunately for the Lusatians, nobody backed their independence claim. The Czechs were up next with an intriguing proposal.
Yeah, so the Czechs have a deal with Hungary for independence, Czechia and Slovakia. The Czechs will form the king, will keep the monarchy with Karl, but then after he dies, they will adopt his second son, so he divides, because Hungary inherits the first one, we inherit the second one, and then we will unite it, and Czechia and Slovakia unite in Czechoslovakia.
So you're still
and
under. And you're still under Karl?
Yes, Emperor Karl will serve as the King of Bohemia, but then when he dies, the Kingdom of Bohemia shall pass to his second son.
I propose the ethnic German lands in Bohemia, which were equivalent of the Sudetenland, get divided between Austria and Germany.
Yes, we appreciate the proposal by our brothers in Austria, and agree that those Germans should be in a Germanic nation. So we would welcome them into Germany, if the rest of you will be fine with us doing so.
So hold on, Chechi, are you cool with giving up the North Sudetenland, or?
No, I'm cool. Like, I'm splitting it seems like the good, sensible compromise option. You know.
All right.
The Czechs agreed to cede the German lands of Bohemia because Austria gave them the remaining North Slavic lands of the empire, uniting Czechs, Moravians, Slovakians, Poles, and Ruthenians into the Kingdom of Bohemia. Bohemia then stayed part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, but now had equal standing with both Austria and Hungary. Following this was a heated Transylvanian debate.
Yes, the Transylvanian lands are divided ethnically between Romanians and Hungarians. However, Austria-Hungary, the Habsburgs have a history of being skilled with ruling over multi-ethnic and diverse empires, whereas the Romanians do not. They are a nationalist state. We don't know how they would treat the Hungarian minorities or majorities in their lands if they should get them. So I'd suggest that in this scenario we stick with the long-time established Habsburgs rather than the upstarts in Romania, because we don't know, we can't trust them when it comes to ruling over ethnic minorities.
I support this.
You for a second.
What if the Romanians gave them an autonomous region?
But why not just give them a Hungarian enclave then? Like, they're like 95% Hungarian in that region.
Well, a compromise I would be willing to accept would be an independent Duchy of Transylvania, but still ruled by the Habsburg monarchy. So in personal union, but it has its own local autonomy, its own elective bodies. It would be independent, but under a Habsburg monarchy.
I feel like that defeats the purpose of, why have this mountain state when you could just have them be part of the country that they need to be in, Romania?
Yeah, they should be part of Hungary.
Nah, they should be part of Romania. They have Romanians in there.
Yeah, but there's still Hungarians there. A lot of them.
Yeah. Oh, they can just move back to Hungary.
Why can't the Romanians go back to...
Maybe it should be a neutral zone that we occupy for 10 years.
Even though there's Hungarians in the region, they're so spread out that you couldn't really justify giving the entire region to Hungary when it's just these little exclaves. Most of it is Romanian. They're all surrounded by Romania. And if you tried to break it down on ethnic lines, the borders would just be full of enclaves and stuff like that. And the borders would not work at all. It would be a horrible border. So therefore, the simplest solution is just to give it to the country which has the most of its ethnic group in the region, which I guess would be Romania.
I am surprised Austria did not bring this up sooner, but there are many Germans living in these lands that you wish to partition to Romania. These people have lived in these lands for hundreds of years, theirs quite peacefully, yet you wish to rip them away and give them to a nation that has barely existed near 20 years. There's no telling what sort of atrocities would be committed against these peoples, so I move that these lands should stay within Hungary and under the Habsburgs.
Okay, so main thing I want to focus on is the ethnic groups in Transylvania, which is majority Romanian. There's only a small enclave of Hungarians, and like Italy said, that would be horrible borders if we gave it to Hungary. Hungary's proposal of the Transylvanian state also sucks because it's just practically under Hungarian control. It's like so it's just under their control and whatnot. They just want to make it seem like that they have a choice and whatnot. So I think Transylvania should go to Romania.
Nah, I'm not getting involved with this.
Fine, let them handle it.
The Romanians hotly contested this, but in the end, Hungary was voted upon to keep their land, after Italy dropped their support as they wanted Habsburg support for Istria. The Romanians then launched a quick invasion, but this was easily rebuffed. At this point, the Italians demanded the unresolved Istrian subject be finalized.
My Istrian claims are just going to be I mean, I don't even know if Illyria claims Istria. Do you claim Istria?
Yes, we claim Istria, but we're also to be compromised for an Istrian autonomous province instead of being incorporated into
Okay,
either.
so you do claim Istria. So I'm just gonna say right off the bat that, claiming Dalmatia, maybe there's an argument. There are actually
but
Croatians and
Istria is
Slovenian in
majority
Dalmatia. But
Slovenian and German more
when
than
it comes to
Italian.
Istria, like Istria, as they're saying, it's majority Italian.
No, it's not.
It has.
It's majority Slovenian and German.
Well, do you have any evidence?
There's
well,
more Germans
hold on.
than
I thought this was gonna be between. So my claim for Istria is.
No, technically, right
I
now.
wanted to help you with this Austria. I wanted to help you here. I wanted to say, we could split Istria between us, because I think clearly, and we can debate about the demographics all day. Demographics change, right?
Okay.
You look at the history of the region. The history of the region is being part of Italy in one form or another, being part of Venice, being part of the Roman Empire, all of these Italian states, and also has a strong history with Austria. What the people of Istria don't have a history with is they don't have a history with Illyria. They don't have any sort of Illyrian identity. They're not. No. Don't interrupt. Okay? This is just irrefutable. There's no sort of like
Croatia let him
movement in Istria to join with Illyria, so that's why it should be probably split up between Italy and Austria, especially these cities like Trieste. Like these cities need to go to Italy. They're majority Italian, and they were founded by Italians. That's so important.
First of all, you have known that we are not a single nation state. We are compromised with multiple nationalities, mainly Croatians and Slovenes. We are ready to give them autonomous districts and communities in both Dalmatia and Istria. So we are not trying to eradicate anyone's culture. We can't really do that because we don't have a real unified Illyrian nationality. That maybe I think in the future, after being under a state for many years, but not currently. Also, I should point out that if you want to compromise for Istria with Austria, well, there's literally if Austria is about to remain on their claims, they are not going to border Istria, so that would be a what do you call it, exclave. Also, if you're going to compromise with that, I could compromise with Austria about South Tyrol, which you are seeming to gonna take.
Italy.
No, I
would rather you take South
that's
Tyrol
just
and I get
slander.
Adria.
That's just libel. I've never claimed South Tyrol, but I want to respond to a lot of his claims here.
Italy.
All right, let me cook here, okay? So, this guy is basically telling you that he says he wants Istria, but at the same time he doesn't want it, because he's saying he wants it, but he wants it to be an autonomous zone. So right there, that tells you everything you need to know. He knows that there's no Illyrian claim to it. If there actually was a strong Illyrian claim there, he wouldn't have to make these concessions. He wouldn't have to say, oh, it's going to be an autonomous zone. He's only saying that because he knows that there's no realistic argument for Illyria to control that region.
The argument for Istrian autonomy is not about them being Italian or anything, but for their mixed nature. If you look at some population data map, there are people from Slovene, Croat, even some other Slavic,
There's also
and
Germans.
Italian heritage all in there.
There's a lot of Germans there still.
As well as Germans. So we are giving them autonomy because they're mixed, not because they have an Italian majority, which they don't. Some cities may, but overall don't.
Italy. Okay. So wait, you said you would support me getting?
Yeah, I support a split of Istria, and I don't know what he's talking about with the exclave. If there is an exclave, we can figure out. We can figure out easily a solution to that.
Okay. And you want Trieste?
Yeah, there's like there's 3 cities that people are talking about, and this isn't even me, this is like other people are saying,
Fiume,
like, you gotta give even the people who voted against my thing on Dalmatia, they're saying you have to give Italy these 3 cities. There's a very big It's not even me, it's everybody else wants it to become part of
I'm
it.
not against it. I'm giving use the cities of Zara and what was the other one? I don't remember. But
There's Zara, Trieste, Fiume.
Italy, I will support
there's
you if you give me and Hungary the non-Istrian part of Slovenia and a border to Fiume, so we have an Adriatic port.
Yeah. I
Okay.
agree to those terms.
So do I.
Wait, Austria. I'm willing to join you as a monarchy of a Karl, like the Hungarians did, for you supporting me in this.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
The Illyrian kingdom will join the whole Austria-Hungary thing, and they will also be changed into the third child of the Karl Habsburg for your support.
Do I get land?
I mean, wasn't the Karl the head of state for you?
So I think what he's proposing is that in exchange for him joining the sort of league of the sort of Danubian confederation we've got going on, that he'd get the navy.
What do you think, Hungary?
Which I mean, if we all have the same foreign policy and Austria is a landlocked country, then you don't really need a navy.
Austria should withdraw from the Balkans entirely. The Balkan states need independence from Habsburg domination.
May I interject? Austria, remember how you got into this mess? It was the Balkan Slavs in your multi-ethnic empire, which have done you no favors. Just abandon the Croats, that's their fate, and rebuild yourself. Keep the port so that you may have access to the sea, but I don't know how you can reliably trust the Croats anymore.
I would rather stick with Italy. I don't trust them.
All right. I will launch an invasion, I guess. I'm invading them for my claims in Istria, I guess.
You're gonna
And
lose.
also-
You don't have any support.
I'm backing them.
This was a brief war, and despite the original pledge of support, the Serbians reneged and Croatia was defeated by the Italians. Italy and Austria split the lands and decided to come to a peaceful resolution for South Tyrol. Yeah, Italy, what do you want to do on that? I'm open to compromise.
You're open to compromise? You're probably not gonna want to cede it to me fully, but we could have like a condominium situation.
I'm
where
open
we
to splitting it on ethnic lines.
Yeah, because the north is German, south is Italian.
All right, sure. We can split it then.
Okay.
Doesn't matter to me.
Following the resolution, Albania was the only European land left to decide.
We believe the country should come under Italian protection. They're always at risk of being invaded by their neighbors. Nobody respects them because they're the only Muslim country in Europe. So naturally they need protection. But also there's a small region of Albania, it's called North Epirus. It's inhabited by Greeks. We want to give that to Greece, and that is part of our proposal here. So yeah, we believe basically that North Epirus goes to Greece and the rest of Albania will come under Italian protection. We'll treat the country well. We'll make Albanian an official language, and we'll protect them, and it will become North Epirus, Greece, the rest an Italian protectorate.
Does Illyria want it?
Yeah, just a little bit. Feels like kind of Italian incursion into my territory. Hey, Greece supports this?
They're gaining
I
land.
think North Epirus.
Why are you supporting the Italians gaining land?
Well, I want land. I don't know.
I guess it's fine
really about that.
as long as I get a little bit of northern.
Well, look, I don't know. It's hard to justify giving up lands when you won the war, but alright, whatever. I'll just give you northern Albania.
Okay.
It seems like
that way it's a peaceful.
I just
solution.
want. I just want peace in Europe.
Due to their recent string of national wins, the Italians came up with a ludicrous idea that Serbia warned them against.
You're not going to get the Suez Canal from the British, dude.
What?
You're not going to get the Suez Canal from the British or Egypt.
Yeah, well, never say never, because the Roman Empire once controlled the Suez Canal, so...
serious?
Good luck with that, buddy.
The Suez was not given to the Italians, despite the alleged Roman ownership. However, the canal was only constructed between 1859 through 1869. The African colonies were relatively simple to divide at this point.
Due to the French support of British Persia, we agreed to give them all to Cameroon. Italy gets Togoland, whilst we get Southwest Africa and East Africa.
Despite all the major negotiations being concluded, two major events still took place, the first involving Portugal and Brazil. Brazil bought the British and French Guianas alongside Suriname from the Dutch.
I think that everyone that said me supported. And the other thing that I would have to say that Portugal and me is in union. We created the Empire of Lusitania.
The Lusitanian Empire was now formed, and one major event, however, radically reshaped one major power's entire view of the war and the subsequent peace negotiations.
Okay, so I would like to propose the creation of an independent India.
You're not going to win. There's no chance. We will crush you into the might of the Empire.
Despite the overwhelming odds being against them, the battle-hardened Indians were able to put aside their differences and overthrew the British. Eventually, the British signed the Treaty of Calcutta, recognizing the newly independent Indian state.
Yes! Finally! It was worth it.
What about Pakistan?
It's been worth it.
That's
Oh,
all
they're
India.
gonna be a
The whole British
semi-autonomous region. We already had discussions about this.
Sounds good. We will recognize the new Indian government and wish them well.
Yes. Finally.
Hey.
I won solo. That's what happens.
Welcome to statehood, India. Do you want to connect the railway from Delhi to Baghdad so we can link Germany to India?
Now at last, the negotiations were over, but Greece and Austria had one more thing. As the Greeks held Constantinople and most of Anatolia, King Alexander of Greece was crowned the Roman Emperor in the Hagia Sophia, officially bringing back the Eastern Roman Empire. Instead of trying to combine Bavaria, Austria, Bohemia, and Hungary into one name for the new empire, Karl I was also coronated the Roman Emperor by Pope Pius XI in Vienna with the crown of the Holy Roman Emperor. Thus, the new empire was officially named the Habsburg Roman Empire. Both Roman empires officially recognized each other as legitimate, and the two formalized their military alliance.
To Rome!
March!
Not learning from the mistakes of the previous war, tons of new alliances formed that had many of the same members and would surely lead to a repeat in the future. I think Italy and Hungary put it best.
I still think that we kind of cooked, though. Not gonna lie.
We have definitely secured peace in Europe for at least the next 3 months.
How do you think the series of wars and treaties went? Do you think we did a better or worse job than the actual diplomats? Which nation do you think emerged the strongest and which one emerged the weakest compared to their real counterparts? I'm interested in reading your answers in the comments. Get this to 5,000 likes for part 2 to see a World War II set in this world. If you want to join the medieval roleplay game, click the link in my description or the pinned comment to get more info. You can join the event at any time, so even if you're watching this a few months after it's been released, we will be a few hundred years in the future, but you can still join as a nation. Thanks for sticking around to the end. If you enjoyed the video and want to help the channel grow for more stuff like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to get maps and more, check out my Patreon or become a channel member. Goodbye.